Court will come to order. It is Monday, June the 10th, 2024. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and the Kerr County Commissioners Court is now in session. If you would, please rise for prayer and the pledge, which was led by Commissioner Overton.
Prayer first, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone turn around. Heavenly Father, we come before you with grateful hearts, acknowledging your boundless mercy and love. Thank you for the rain that you have graciously bestowed upon us, rejuvenating our rivers and nourishing our land. This blessing has brought hope and sustenance to our community, and we are deeply thankful. We also lift up our heartfelt gratitude for the people of Kerr County. We thank you for their resilience and dedication to one another. We are especially grateful for the county workers who tirelessly serve and care for our community. Bless them with strength, wisdom, and protection as they continue their important work. May your blessings continue to flow upon us, our rivers, our people, and our county. Guide us to be good stewards of the resources that you provide, and to always remember your grace in our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. First item of business, as always, turn the device off or the vibrator, so it doesn't interrupt the proceedings. And with that, first item on our regular Commissioners Court meetings is always public input. This is an opportunity for the public to advise the court of things that we need to know, or you think we need to know. It is an opportunity for you to address us, but it is not an opportunity for us to respond to you, which is why we've got a time item for the budget at 10:30. We'll talk about that later. But in any event, if an item is on the agenda, we ask that you save your opportunity to speak until that agenda item is called. But if something is not on the agenda, this would be a time, if you'd like to address the court, to go to the lectern up here and address this. Is there any public input? Well, moving right along, we're going to go to Commissioner's comments. Precinct 1.
start with me. Precinct 1 was very blessed with rain over the past 3 weeks. We've had 1.5 inches, and then some people got 3 inches. Last night we got 2, and I haven't even checked this morning, so we're very grateful. I want to send out some special blessings to my husband. 35 years ago today, it rained as well on our wedding, and so bless him for being married to me for 35 years. But anyway, keep those short today.
Okay, well, precinct 2, we did pretty good with rain over the last 24 hours. 2 inches, 2 1/4.
Yay.
So, and it's still coming down 111. Now, despite that, we haven't seen anywhere near enough, especially in East Kerr, to significantly recharge aquifers. So it sure looks like we're in for a hot and dry summer. So the only point I want to make is right now the burn ban is lifted. And if you've got brush piles that you need to burn, I suggest you get going and get them burnt before the burn ban is back in place. Talk just a little bit about the Center Point Sewer Project. We have discussed the possibility of a Phase 4 project. And right now, though, we're waiting to see a presentation which will be a rehash of the first 3 phases in terms of total spending, what we've gotten for it, and what we have in terms of remaining funds. It looks like right now we have about $10 million of unspent project funds. So the review will cover the status of all loans and grants as well as options for those unspent funds. And what we believe is certainly that we can use them if we do a Phase 4, which obviously will come before the Commissioner's Court for approval. And I expect that Tetra Tech, who is working on that with GrantWorks, will be in court within the next month to give that review, and we can further talk about that. Just want to point out that we will have an APO, Aggregate Producer Operation Council, Advisory Council meeting. That's 6 p.m. on June 18th at the Hill Country Youth Event Center. Trying to finalize the agenda for that. Right now we have Martin Marietta, who will be presenting about their progress towards meeting our voluntary best management practices. And we're hoping to hear from Mega Creek, and we're also going to hopefully talk a little bit about mine pit reclamation. So hopefully it's a good meeting. Lastly, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Office and Storage Space Committee. We're making good progress on getting cost estimates for the necessary repairs and improvements required for the ag barn. And while there are a lot of different approaches to getting the required improvements completed, I have requested $500,000 in the next budget to at least get started chipping away at the maintenance problems. And we'll soon have a discussion about what it would take to fund the entire roughly $2.5 million of needed improvements. We're also making progress on addressing office space requirements in terms of making meeting rooms available in the courthouse basement, identifying solutions to enhance the historic commission's office space needs, and also to address the sheriff's need for additional office space in their annex facility. And perhaps we'll hear more about that in our next Commissioners Court meeting. That's all.
Okay.
That's all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to keep it short today.
Here we go. Three.
Yeah, we've been lucky to get a little bit of rain finally in precinct 3. The northern areas have had probably, some of them probably 6-7 inches in the last couple of weeks. Down towards my house, we're not near that much, probably close to about 2 inches, so it's a lot better. And I would like to mention those, my son goes to Grace Academy, and they go to an international convention every year. And they have lots, it's like a UAL type competition, and kids come from all over the world. We go to 1,400 kids were there. And they have a thing that's called Pace Bowl, which is like College Bowl, those you will see that on television. And Grace, one of the smallest schools, won first place. And then it goes to that team with Moses and Daniel Sanchez, Everett Flock, and my son Gus. So quite an accomplishment. Another comment from that convention while it was held in Warrensburg, Missouri. He says, on the track, the Ugandans are very fast. That's all I have.
Okay. Well, the rain was a pleasant surprise to many of us. When I left the house this morning, we had 2.2 at my house at 7:30 and 1.6 here at the courthouse when I got here. A couple things coming up I want to mention is this Friday, the Divide VFDs have their annual state fundraiser out there. It starts at 6 on Friday, and it's always a fun event. So try to make it, and it's for a worthy cause. These VFDs need all the help they can get. Another thing coming in, it's almost a month away, but I'm going to miss the next Commissioner's Court. I have to go to a conference. The next first Thursday meeting in West Kerr, Peter Flores will be attending, and some of the things we'd like to hear from him is address some of the water issues we all face and what have you. So just want to throw that out there since it's almost a month away, but I won't be here to plug it next time. So that's it.
I want to talk about a couple of things. One is, for those of you that don't understand how we run our agenda, we have timed items and then we have items that are just in sequential order. And what I've tried to do is to put the people that have taken, go through a lot of trouble to be at the courthouse, try to get those events early in the agenda so that you don't have to wait through every part. You don't have to slosh through all the toil that we have to work through. And I point that out because we're going to jump around a little bit today, but we're going to get to most of you first. That's the first thing I wanted to talk about. And you'll note that I have a 10:30 timed item on every, will be on every regular Commissioners Court meeting between now and the adoption of the budget for public input and discussion, not just input. I can talk about input at the beginning. This is a conversation between the public and the court with regard to our budget and our tax rate. This is very important to get that kind of public input. There will be 8 opportunities for the public to discuss this matter with us before it's adopted. Now, having said that, it is my distinct honor to be able to introduce our new director for the IT department. If you would, this is Corey Tennis, is how you say his name. If you see it spelled, just know tennis.
It's old German spelling,
Very,
so
very
it confuses
German.
everybody.
Nothing like that, though.
It's kind of like Ninehofer. Jokes here on front row. But he's a retired colonel in the Air Force, has extensive IT background, and we feel like we're in really good hands. So, thank you. So with that, we'll move on to the consideration agenda. Item 1.1 is the presentation regarding the state 4-H roundup results. Ms. Smith.
Good morning. I'm actually Angela Fiddler.
I know. I see Jennifer Smith down here, and I see you go to Queen.
Well, before we get started, we didn't want to forget. So luckily, we have an intern this year, and I would ask her just to stand up, Cheyenne Stratton. She's from Angelo State. She started today. So I think she's the reason we got all the rain. She brought it to us from New Orleans. Anyway, she'll be with us till August, till 9th, August 9th. So anyway, we're excited about that. So now we would like to go ahead and present our award winners, all those that participated at State Forest Roundup.
Bring them up front. We're going to have photo opportunities here.
That's right. Well, I'm gonna have them introduce themselves and then they'll make their way up there.
Okay.
Thank you for having us this morning. We are recognizing our youth who participated in the Texas 4-H State Roundup last week. For those that are not familiar with this is a week-long 4-H experience for these kids. High school age kids, many of the contests that they participated in last week are actually qualifying, so there were steps to get there. So we had, they participate in contests, they attend assemblies, they do workshops and community service. It is built to keep them busy for 5 days and keep us busy for 5 days, keep them going. So last week we had 15 kids participate in 11 contests. So each youth is able to participate in a maximum of 3 contests, 1 a day. So we had a few that actually did that. So 15 kids in 11 contests, and they did an amazing job. They not only, a lot of them did very well in their contest, but our kids are super respectful when they're in the community, always pleasant to be around, and we always get compliments on how well behaved they are and how they present themselves. So I just want the court to know that not only are these kids representing in the contest that they participate in, but just as a young adult in getting into the community. And this was statewide. So this is youth and adults from the state of Texas. So we're very proud of them for representing us in a great way. So I'm gonna have them come up and introduce themselves, and they're gonna tell what contests they participated in and if they placed, and then we'll do a photo at the end.
Howdy, my name is Reland Fiddler, and I participated in educational presentation, and I became a Healthy Texas Youth Ambassador, where I go out into my county and I teach those who don't understand health what health is. And I got 3rd as a team for consumer decision making, along with my sister. I'm Renly Fiddler, and I competed in consumer decision making. I placed 3rd as a team and 5th overall. Good morning. I am Shelby Mejia. I competed in wool mohair. Our team placed 1st place, and I placed 8th individual.
My name is Peter Lockwood. I participated in the Ranger Plan ID competition led by Travis Weiser. Unfortunately, we couldn't form a team this year, so we just competed individually, and I didn't place, but I showed improvement, which is the most important part.
I'm Ella Robbins, and I competed in horse judging, and my team got 14th place.
I'm Madeline Hall, and I competed in a fashion show in 2 categories, theater, costume, and natural fibers. I didn't make the top 3 in costume, but I got 2nd place in natural fibers. And then I also competed in horse judging. My team got 14th place. And then me and my brother competed in educational presentation in the STEM category, and we got 7th.
Hi, my name is Samuel Hall. I participated in robotics. I didn't place in that. I did participate in horse judging. I got 14th. And then educational presentation, we got 7th, like I mentioned. And then I also placed in a musical instrumental, but I couldn't do that because I had horse judging the same day.
So some of the other contests that our kids participated in, we did have a livestock skillathon team, entomology, we had a young lady participate in science fair, we had a wool judging, and as the rest of them said, like education presentation, robotics and that kind of thing. So we had a great representation for the week. So thank y'all for having us this morning.
Okay, now we're going to do the photo op. All turn around and look at me. You're in the middle, so you get right here in front of me. And then 3 on that side. No, I'm back around. 3 on that side, and 3 on this side. Touch shoulders, turn around. That's it. It's center.
Okay. You ready? Got it? Smile. Smile. Commissioner Oldby. Yeah, I can't really. Yes.
No, you go in between the same one, either one in between or.
You can see me.
Just come to the corners.
Okay, there we go. There we
I
go.
think that gets us closer together.
There you go. And smile. Very good.
Okay, now, round of applause. Okay.
Thank y'all.
Hey, Jennifer.
Thanks for coming in.
Question for you. How many total members do we have in 4-H in Kerr County?
We have 284 members,
That's great.
and that ranges from kindergarten through 12th grade.
Yeah. Yes, and we have quite a few FFA members along the same lines.
Okay,
I'd just like to make one point. Maybe we talked a little bit about the Youth Event Center in our workshop. And, they've been under some scrutiny for, the budgets and so forth. But one of the key things that our Youth Event Center does is assist groups like 4-H and FFA and all the meetings and the shows and so forth that happen out there. So I just kind of want to acknowledge that. And we get a lot of value. We get a lot
Welcome
of value.
aboard.
I'm there.
There's a reason it says youth in the name out front.
Yes, sir. I'm converted.
you see why we do those kind of items first? Same reason on the second. Item 1.2 is the presentation of the 2023 Distinguished Service Award to the Kerr County Historical Commission. If y'all would, please come to the front. And for those in the public that don't know, since I'm going to present this certificate, this is Barb Rhodes, Bunny Bond, Julius Neinhofer. And when you talk about historical commission in Kerr County, you can't talk about it without talking about at least one of these people. Really. So with that, what I want to do is present you with the Texas Historical Commission 2023 Distinguished Service Award to the Kerr County Historical Commission in recognition of its active and well-balanced preservation program. So, congratulations. Now, yeah.
How can we get everybody in here?
There you go.
There you go.
We go.
Squeeze in a little bit.
There you go. Smile. Very good.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
And
Thank y'all for your support, too.
I love that Kelly green dress, you know?
Well, Darcy Moser and I didn't compare
noticed that
notes,
too.
neighbors, but I said, you're in green too. Anyway, from the rain. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for what y'all do and your support.
Good to see you.
Thank you, Judge Kelly.
Another timed item is item 1.3, which is to consider, discuss and take appropriate action to approve the appointment and administer the oath to Dr. Mark Moser to the Kerr County Joint Airport Board to replace Mr. John Major, who resigned effective May 31, 2024. Dr. Moser's term will be effective until May 31, 2026. So, first of all, I have to take some action.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Dr. Mark Mosher to the Kerr County Joint Airport Board.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. For those of you who don't know, he served on the board for 6 years already, so we're bringing him back into service. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Mark, if you would come forward. I know you've done this before. We're going to do it again. Okay, if you would, please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
Mark Moser.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office
of the office
of Kerr County Joint Airport Board
of Kerr County Joint Airport Board
of the State of Texas,
of the State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And just need you to sign Well, we can do both. Just go get you to sign right here. And then one more. Back there. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We look forward to it.
Appreciate
Good to have you back. Okay. We have a timed item at 9:15, so I have to skip over 1.4 and 1.5 right now. 9:15 is 1.6. Review the most recent status report from Grant Works dated June 4, 2024 regarding current projects and additional requested documentation. Then consider, discuss, and make appropriate action to decide on future projects and obligate the remaining American Rescue Plan funds. Ms. Putnam.
Good morning. We would like to go ahead and introduce Letitia Turner. Yes, from Grant Works. She is here to go over her most recent status report from Grant Works. We do receive these quarterly, and just kind of give you an idea, a general idea of what we have obligated so far and where we are with that, and answer any questions since we're about to get in the budget phase and we do have some remaining funds that we need to obligate, which I have given you the information for those, and I do have some more updated information. We might get to that to a later date for the treasurer. She got me her report, or she got quotes. She got me new quotes, so I have some updated stuff and what's in there. However, I'm going to turn this over to Letitia to kind of go over this with you. If you have any questions, just let her know. If she can't answer them, then she will get back with me and answer them later.
And this is Letitia Turner.
Yes,
Correct.
hi, my name is Letitia Turner. I'm a program project manager at Grant Works. And I'm just going to go over the status report that I send on a monthly basis, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what's going on and how you're spending your ARPA funds. So I'm going to start just by giving a little bit of an overview. So if you guys received about 10 million, a little bit over 10 million, and if you did receive about 10 million, you can use it towards lost revenue, which is one of the most flexible categories that you can have ARPA funds. So for that one, you can spend it on government services, so anything that's kind of related to government services. And typically people will do things like construction on schools, buildings, they'll do roads, maintenance, health services, general government administration, staff, environmental remediation, our police, fire vehicles, our different things like that. So that's some of the things that people spend their ARPA funds on. Some things that are not eligible for ARPA, as you're thinking about spending the money, you can't offset a reduction in net tax revenue. Deposits into pension aren't eligible. You cannot pay debt service or replenish your financial reserves. And you cannot use the money to satisfy old settlements. And funds may not be used, anything that conflicts with like COVID for the health. And the period of performance is, so the funds are eligible for anything from March 2nd, 2021 to December 31st, 2024. So anything that incurred in that time frame is eligible. And the period of performance is to December 31st, 2026. So all funds have to be contracted by December 31st, 2024, which means they either have to be expended under contract or purchase order, or there is a subcategory for personnel that can be done via an MOU, or it can be, you take a guesstimate for how much is going to be towards that. And then you have until December 31st, 2026 to expend the funds. So just go over a little bit how you guys are currently using the funds. Like I said, you guys have a little bit over 10 million. Right now you have budgeted 9.8 million and you have about $300,000 left to budget. Your total obligation, you have to remain about 1.1, but that's not budgeted. You guys are going to still budget a little bit more towards some costs that are currently budgeted. They're not obligated because they're not under a contract just yet. So I will go through some of the items. So for Grant Works, that's the first item. It's about $400,000 for Grant Works. For Kerr County, the communication system, that is going to be 6.9. Go ahead.
Yeah, before you move on, because that first one drew my attention, that we've got a budget of $408,000, but we've only expended $127,000, so there's a remaining amount to be expended or obligated of $282,000. So my question is, are we gonna spend all that, or are we gonna leave some of that on the table?
I mean, I believe you guys are going to expend all the funding in time. So the biggest project that you guys have is your communications project, and that's 6.9 million of your funds. And so that's
I was talking about the administrative, that first line item.
Okay. For Grant Works, is that the one?
Yes.
Yes, you will.
It says administration, so.
Yes, so as you guys,
Grant Works.
so Grant Works is set up by markers, so as you reach those markers, then we fill down those funding. So at this point, I actually think you guys have actually paid us an additional amount since this has come out, since this report has last been out. So every time you hit a milestone, you guys will pay us another thing. So my goal is to get you there so we can continue to get paid.
Yeah, that's fine. It just looked like we hadn't spent very much, and so perhaps the likelihood would be that we wouldn't spend it all. But if we
They're
are,
not gonna leave anything on the table.
Yes, that is our goal. So, where I left off, so the next one, you have to have about 6.9 for a communications project. The next one is going to be the Veterans Pathway. That is about a little bit over 300,000 for the Veterans Pathway project, which I believe is completed. So you just will have to draw down the remaining funds. And then you have some administrative projects. You guys have hired an 18-month position to oversee the contract for the communications project. You guys hired some new employees as a result of COVID and just needing to expand services. That one is a little over 600,000. You have emergency stipends for first responders. That's a little over $1 million that you guys have budgeted for that line item. And a retention incentive for people who's gotten their CDL. You guys have about 98,000 in that one. And then you guys had an ice storm closure that took place, and you guys expended about 116,000 for that one, and that one is complete. And then lastly, there is a special request, and you guys have about 56,000 in that one. And if I have time, I'm just going to go over some frequently asked questions if I have about a few more minutes. One thing is co-ops. I know a lot of times government entities will use co-ops to acquire things. And co-ops are high risk, so they're not necessarily something that we typically encourage. But if for some reason you guys do want to go forward with a co-op, just let me know, because there's some mitigation things that we can do to make it a little bit better. But it just involves an additional work if you guys are going to use a co-op. But like I said, they're not typically encouraged because they do pose risk. Some additional documentation that we have requested as ARPA that are outlisted in their policy and procedures is a conflict of interest policy, a financial management policy, and a document management plan. And then for best practice, there's an anti-fraud, waste, and abuse that we encourage. So these are plans a lot of times that government entities already have in place, and we would just need to see a copy. But for some reason, if you guys don't have them in place, we do have sample copies that you can use and then make them your own. And then I'm going to go over some questions that I've been asked. One of them is what happens to funds not obligated by December 31st, 2024? They have to be returned. So if they're not obligated, they will have to be returned, and there is a process in which they would have to be returned after the reporting that occurs after the new year begins in 2025. But like I said, our goal is to get everything under contract by December 31st, 2024. And then another thing is the flexibilities after obligations. So what flexibilities exist? For example, if there needs to be change orders, if a project needs additional funds, there are some options that you could put additional funds in there. It just needs to be outlined in the contract that additional funds can be added to that contract. And if what flexibilities exist after the deadline, if for some reason a project does not expend all the funds, recipients may have excess funds that were obligated as of the deadline but not ultimately expended on eligible activities. For example, a contractor may perform work under a budget, therefore freeing up previously obligated ARPA funds. In such cases, the recipient may reclassify that the funds, as long as it's still an eligible activity that occurred before the deadline of December 31st, 2024, then they can be re-obligated to that if they're not expended.
And then I have two more, and then I'm done. So another question that I get asked is, are recipients required to remit interest earned? So if you guys earn interest on the money, you are not required to give that back to the Treasury, and you're not held by the Cash Management Improvement Act set forth. So then you guys are allowed to spend the money, not related to ARPA. And then there was a question about matching. So because you guys are going to be using most of your funding for the lost revenue, you are allowed to use federal funding on match, but the grant has to specify that it's not an ineligible activity, because some grants have opted not to be able to use ARPA funds to match, so then it would not be an eligible activity. And then that's all.
Okay, thank you. Just as an overview, you may remember that we had some public resistance to accepting the ARPA funds when they were offered to us several years ago. And as a precautionary measure, we retained GrantWorks, where Ms. Turner works, to help us comply with all the required guidelines so there would be no callback of those funds. And she works very closely with Noel Putnam. We've been working together now for several years, and this is our callback proof protection on the funds. And you can see we've spent the funds for very worthwhile public works. So, thank you, Ms. Turner, for coming to this long trip. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you all.
Okay, I have one last timed item before our break, and that's the 9:30 item.
We'll talk about the items that were submitted in terms of competing for the last 328,000.
I've asked Noel to prepare us.
So we're not doing it right
What's the plan on that? We're just trying to
just ask.
We want to get her report in. So this is 9:30 item is consider, discuss, take appropriate action on the proclamation recognize Peterson Health's 75th anniversary. And I have such a proclamation here. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
And a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second to approve a resolution that reads, whereas on July 3rd, 1949, the division of Hal and Charlie Peterson to provide comprehensive local access to health care, Sid Peterson Memorial Hospital opened its doors to Kerr County, bringing a state-of-the-art hospital to the Texas Hill Country. And whereas Sid Peterson Memorial Hospital has evolved into a regional health care hub, boasting 18 rooftops and serving a 5-county area, now known as Peterson Health, a locally governed, private, independent, not-for-profit health system that has become a cornerstone of the community and the largest employer in Kerr County. And whereas Peterson Health is a trusted community partner comprised of professionals with giving spirits and caring hearts for the people of Kerr County and the Texas Hill Country. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Commissioners of Kerr County do hereby proclaim July 3, 2024 as Peterson Health Appreciation Day and thank them for their years of committed service to the citizens of Kerr County and best wishes for the next 75 years. So I'd like to present this to Tim.
Yes, sir.
The public doesn't know who you are, so why don't you just turn around and...
Yes, sir. Thank you. My name is Tim Wright. I'm administrator over at Peterson Health, and we're turning 75 this year, and very excited. Been part of the community for a long time. Independent, and I think that's been important. Controlling our own destiny out here, and we're looking forward to the next 75. So really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Well, I want to...
Thank you, sir.
Hold it there. Okay.
We gotta look at
Yeah, we'll turn this way, the second one.
your glass.
Okay.
There we go. Good job.
Appreciate it. And one thing that I would emphasize about Peterson, my late wife was a physician, and I'm very familiar with Peterson Hospital. It is privately owned. It's not a public hospital. And when we talk about independent, they're independent. And she was always very, very proud to work with Peterson because of that independence.
Yes.
So we're proud of you too.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Time items.
Good. Mr. Pettis' comment about ARPA. We don't have another budget workshop scheduled until the 22nd of July.
Well, I will say this special meeting.
I think we ought to have one.
Well, I think obligating that last little, almost a third of $1 million is vitally important. And we probably ought to dedicate a special meeting, call a special meeting, to be able to consider that.
Well, the way the agenda item reads, it looks like we could today, as Commissioner Texas stated, the way it reads, so. Unless we want to pass to everybody a little more prepared or something.
Well, we haven't had a chance to review any report from Captain, yeah. I mean, it hasn't been presented to us. So I don't know how we act on it today.
Back up.
No, he's talking about, I think, Commissioner Basis, a lot of his is the project he's working on facilities.
But there's a lot of projects, they're all competing for a very limited, $328,000.
Exactly.
So at what point are we gonna have the discussion as which way are we gonna go?
I prioritize the ones that we have in our backup myself.
And all the more reason for us to spend the time to talk about it.
The question is when? Do we do a special meeting?
I think so. We try to get some base for us. We'll do that.
Okay.
Set it?
All right. Yeah. So this is, maybe no other answer. Can you recall that one? That's not the question, it's what we're looking at on 1.16 says.
Okay, we're going to recall item 1.6, which is the review the report from grant work dated June 24.
Okay, we've got the 323,000, which we haven't obligated yet. But it looks like we haven't spent a lot of the other money, and a lot of that was obligated was for the insurance department's salaries, not a lot, but some of it was. And other projects probably as well. This report doesn't, when do we need to get, I guess, a realistic.
She's working on one, I'll tell you.
Accurate report as to how much is actually left. And we know 323, but we also know that there's some other amount that's not going to be, that's budgeted but won't be spent.
Okay, so the primary thing is to get it obligated by December 31st. Now, on that report, it shows how much you want to obligate, but the only thing has been obligated is what has been expended. So those things, if you look at it, you'll have the budgeted amount, and then the obligated amount, and then the expended amount. And the expended amount and the obligated amount will match. But the other remaining funds, in some of those instances, are not quite yet obligated, because we do need to have them in some sort of contract or some sort of, and that's something that we've been working on with Letitia, is trying to figure out how to get those funds where they're legally obligated by the 31st.
I guess my question is, the category says remaining amount to obligate. Is that what you're talking about? That's a little over $1 million that's remaining to obligate. So is that in addition to the 323,000?
No, we have the 323,000, and that's the only thing that is left that doesn't have that's not attached to a project.
Not earmarked.
So those are, yes, that's a good way to say it, not earmarked. So all of those funds there are earmarked, but not necessarily fully obligated. The 300, where's my notes? The 300 and some odd, that is,
Let me clarify. I became tangentially involved with these conversations with grant workers. And when I use the sheriff's communication system as an example, that's $6.9 million. We all agreed that we committed to it. We're trying to satisfy grant workers in terms of how should that be documented, that it is obligated. Earmark is probably a better term, Mr. Harris. We've got it all earmarked. We know where that we intend for that to go. We're going to have to do something technically between now and the end of the year to satisfy grant workers to make sure that they've got a piece of paper in hand, like the federal government requires, that we're spending money like the way we're supposed to.
The radio system's a little bit different because we have a contract for procurement.
Correct.
So,
and we talked to them about that, and the
ones that are a little more loose are maybe the salary and.
They like that one a lot better than they like some of the other ones we had.
yes. And that one, That one is completely documented.
Yeah.
And if for some reason, as an example, one of the things she said is at the end of it all, if there's, say, some money left over, we can take that money and de-obligate it and re-obligate it to one of our existing projects that's in the works. We can't create a whole new project of ARPA. It has to be something that's already in the works. So if any of these projects are under budget, we can still expend that money by putting it towards one of the others that maybe doesn't have enough.
Sheriff, correct me if I'm wrong, but that won't be the case for the radio.
I can assure you.
I almost said that myself.
That's
Well,
the big
that
one.
was an example, any of the projects like that.
But let me go farther. I work with Noelle quite a bit, and she has a lot of documentation with regard to all of these, not only the ones we think we've committed to, the earmarked ones, but these other ones that are to be decided, which we're gonna have to decide probably in this budget process. And she's worked up some graphs, she's got charts, she's got a wealth of things that we really hadn't planned to set aside today. It's gonna take probably hours to go through all of it. But we have that, and so that needs to be shared with the court. In fact, we talked this morning about, did she just go ahead and give you a handout? But she's prepared to come talk to us about all of it. So that's what I'm saying, we probably ought to set aside, get a special meeting there, just to do that, because it's really important.
And in making this agenda item, I did want it to be an option if we were able to do so, but there is a lot. It's quite a bit of information, so just for time's sake purposes, and it would also give an opportunity for you guys to again see what is out there and formulate questions, because I'm sure there will be questions on all of those as well that not everybody is here to answer, because I won't be able to answer on specific projects.
Well, let me ultimately close by saying that Noelle has done a masterful job managing a complex structure of how to spend these money and work with variables to keep us clawback proof in that part. Thank you. Okay, we've done all the timed items. Let's go back and pick up. I think we can do these pretty quickly. 1.4, which is the Upper Turtle Creek Volunteer Fire Department. We use the courthouse grounds parking lot on available Saturdays from June to October to set up and sell raffle tickets for their yearly raffle. Jeff Coleman.
Yes, sir. Turtle Creek Volunteer Fire Department has purchased a 2024 Kawasaki Mule with a trailer, and that's our grand prize for our raffle. And we're just looking for locations that we can set up and sell tickets. We don't have any dates set aside. We do have a meeting tonight to discuss, who would be available to come up here and sell if y'all allow us to be here.
And to clarify, I'm sorry, I see.
How much is a ticket?
The tickets are $100 a piece.
Sounds like a good ticket.
Yeah, the
Good prize.
the main package cost the department, we bought it outright, it cost us $25,200, I think it was. So they're a little pricier than more raffles, but there's a decent prize at the
Just to
end.
clarify, Jeff, what we're talking about is you would set up a table or a booth or kiosk here on courthouse grounds. You would take up the whole courthouse grounds.
We would be in the parking lot, most likely at the corner.
You bring the Kawasaki Mule on the trailer.
Yes, sir.
Have it in the parking lot. Set up a place for people to take donations, but you're not using the whole courthouse ground.
No, no.
And
In
you just
fact,
do it as available.
yes.
Yeah.
In fact, it's parked out there right now because I have to take it back to Secor this morning, so. But we hang most of our banners and everything right on the trailer and the mule. Basically a table, canopy, the trailer, and probably a vehicle.
I just want to clarify something. The public didn't misunderstand and think that you were going to occupy the courthouse
No.
for the rest of the year. This will be pretty easy. Okay, we have a motion.
I'll make a motion, subject to you leaving it out there so we can go take a look during the break. I'll make a motion.
Absolutely.
That we approve the request from Upper Turtle Creek Volunteer Fire Department to use the courthouse grounds parking lot on weekends to set up and sell raffle tickets for their yearly raffle.
I'll second that motion.
We got a motion and a second to approve use of courthouse grounds by Turtle Creek Volunteer Fire Department for the raffle ticket sales. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Remember, you gotta leave it through the break.
I'll be here. Thank you.
Item 1.5, consider discuss the appropriate action to approve a Xerox contract for Everlife Extension Office.
Yes, sir.
This is routine.
Routine. I think we're gonna actually save a little bit, right? Looks like. And we're ready for a new one, because we're ready to kick that one. Hopefully Kim and Lisa are watching right now, because they're ready to take that one out back. It's not doing its job.
County attorney's reviewed.
Yep, Heather has reviewed it and approved it. It's a 60-month.
We've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. You're very persuasive.
Yay! They'll be so happy.
Okay. Moving down to 1.7, an update from the Emergency Management Coordinator regarding the solar eclipse, April 8, 2024.
Morning, Judge. Morning, Commissioners. I apologize for this being a little late after the eclipse. I took a week off and recovered and then had the TDM conference, and it took a little while to gather some information. But this is my final report on the total eclipse of April 8, 2024. I got some information from Julie at the Visitors Bureau, and I thought it might be interesting for y'all to hear this. I had asked her originally about how many folks came into Kerrville and Kerr County for the eclipse, and the only data that they had was for the city. But I do have some thoughts on what happened out in the county, and I'll get to that in just a minute. So from Julie, she said local data analytics indicated 65,400 people in the city limits of Kerrville on April 8, not counting those that live here.
Could you say the number again?
65,400. Average dwell time was about 4 hours, so they just came and left. The same platform indicated 10,000 in Louise Hayes Park on that day and close to 2,000 at the Hill Country Arts Foundation. Everybody, even though the weather didn't really cooperate for us, I think it was still an economic boost for the city and the county. Several businesses reported record days for sales and probably for the year. 323 Bakery in Ingram reported their best days ever. Saw a significant traffic increase for people staying out in Ingram and Hyde. 85% booked hotel-wise in the city of Kerrville, which was a lot better than Austin. Austin only had 78%. Bernie and Fredericksburg also had similar numbers as far as hotel reservations. We had people from all over the nation and the world, not including Texas. We had visitors from 32 states, with the top 5 states being California, Colorado, Arizona, Washington, and Minnesota during the week prior. Texans accounted for 46% of the traffic during that same time frame, and dropped to 39% of the day of the eclipse. We had international visitors from 11 countries, including Israel, Germany, Netherlands, Denmark, Japan, England, Canada, Sweden, Colombia, Belgium, and South Africa. In the week leading up to the eclipse, 42% of the people helped by the visitor center were overnight visitors, 33% were day visitors, 25% were locals. Average stay for folks that came was 3.6 days. Anyway, so that was what we had for the total numbers. Now, as far as what was out in the county, that's really going to be kind of hard to say. We had all the camps that had visitors. I'm sure people, relatives, had relatives coming into town, those types of things. But I can tell you that when the Civil Air Patrol, Mark can tell you, that when they got up in the air, it looked like Tent City out there. There were RVs and tents everywhere on all these ranches. So my best guess would be we had probably another 25 to 30,000 out in the county, probably close to 100,000 altogether. I think the best part about all that was we got them all out of here in 3.5 hours without a hitch. We had one little accident on the interstate, and I-10 got backed up, both coming in, going before the eclipse and after the eclipse, but not for very long.
The only hitch I heard about was Judge Adams.
Yeah, when they all went to Bandera. I didn't send them there. So the other thing that I wanted to give you is I wanted to show you some pictures provided by Mark and the Civil Air Patrol. The Civil Air Patrol flew 4 sorties that day, and we had 22 different locations for them to look. Some of those we wanted them to take photographs of, and some of them we just wanted them to observe and get contact with us on the ground about what was going on. So the first one we have is, we'll just take a look at Kerr Shriner Park. This is a photo. That's not Kerr Shriner Park. Okay, go ahead. We'll go through those. Back up. So ECL 19 was supposed to be Kerr Shriner Park, but this is set up. It was provided by National EMR, which is National Emergency Management and Response. They brought a command trailer, several tents that were fully air conditioned, and they were set up. This particular festival was set up for incident command support. We had Civil Air Patrol represented in there, TM, TxDOT, DPS, situation leader, documentation leader. All this is full with computers, laptops, and people on the day of the event.
And that was in the parking lot?
That was in the parking lot, owned by First Presbyterian. Go ahead. That's the command trailer, command truck. That's not their biggest one. But this one suited our purposes very well. We had all of our incident command in there, including the section chiefs for logistics, planning, and finance. Go ahead. Just another picture of the tent where all the support personnel were. Keep going. One of our briefings on Saturday or Sunday before the event. Keep going. The day of the event, now we're watching all of our traffic. This is the inside of the command trailer itself. Got a representative, 2 representatives of National EMR there, and that's Lieutenant Klein of the Kerr Police Department. Go ahead. Another briefing. Go ahead. Just 2 portable generators that National EMR provided. Again, that same outside vestibule. Go ahead. Another look at the command trailer and the way we were set up at First Presbyterian. Go ahead. Another briefing, operations briefing. Next. Just to let somebody else taking pictures. Next. This is the day of the eclipse. You can see there's a National EMR guy standing there looking up in the air. We're waiting for it to happen. We're watching the eclipse start. Go ahead. It's getting closer. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. All right, everybody's taking pictures of it, so now we're getting really close. Next picture. There's darkness. Next picture, please. Somebody upside down. Just another picture inside it. Keep going. National EMR provided all this free of charge, by the way. This is all through an MOU with the city of Kerrville. Still darkness. Go ahead. All right, that's it. So what I wanted to, I've got some aerial photos in there somewhere. Well, I guess they didn't get to you. Okay. I apologize for that. But Civil Air Patrol did provide a valuable asset for us. They gave us pictures from several different locations on I-10, some of the camps, the Clyde Valley, also the Empty Cross, a lot of areas that we knew we were going to have an influx of folks. And this was not just a planning process, but it was a planning process involving the entire community.
some of the organizations that I'm involved in this planning process, and this is, I'm pretty sure I left somebody out, but I tried to get everybody. Kerr County Sheriff's Office, Kerr County Commissioner's Court, Commissioner Paces was there all the time. Kerr County Road and Bridge, Kelly Hofer and Crystal Lockridge. I can't say enough about what Crystal did for us with our traffic maps and those types of things. She put our traffic plan on the map, and she had it down great. The Kerr County Engineers Office, Bobby Gordon did a good job for us. Kerr County CERT, they manned all the staging areas. Hill Country Amateur Radio Club provided backup communications capability from all the VFD stations and transmitted traffic flow intelligence information to EOC on an hourly basis on the daily event. The Civil Air Patrol, as I said, they flew 4 sorties over 22 locations that we were looking for intelligence on. We also had the Ingram Police Department, Kerrville Police Department, Kerrville Fire Department, and I can imagine nearly every city of Kerrville department, every department in the city of Kerrville. All the Kerr County VFDs manned their stations throughout the weekend. Also, Kerrville Kerr County Airport, they did an outstanding job planning for the influx of planes and traffic there. TxDOT, another invaluable service for all of the traffic control devices that they acquired for us. Hill Country Telephone, Mini Mart, Walmart, HEB, Peterson Hill, DPS, Texas Parks and Wildlife, Kerrville First United Methodist Church, who provided meals for all 4 staging areas, 3 meals a day. So Kerrville First United Methodist Church, Light on the Hill, City West Church, First Presbyterian, Kerrville Bible Church, National EMR, Valero, Maxi Energy, and McBride Oil Company. That's just a short list. I'm sure I left somebody out, but I tried to give everybody credit for those that were part of the process. Any questions?
Well, Doug, we want to thank you for the exhaustive job that you did in getting us prepared. And the best thing about the solar eclipse, in my opinion, was that we were significantly over-prepared, and that's a good thing.
I think it showed, Judge, that we can take a massive event and be prepared for it and handle it. We have the resources and the personnel.
Well, I was very impressed with the number of people, and you've rattled off a long list, so I'm not gonna, but the number of people who were involved in the planning over several years, and it all came together really without a hitch, other than we did a horrible job controlling the weather.
Yeah, I know.
And you know, and the weather, and the forecast been a little bit better. It might have been a much bigger number, because I'm sure we had a lot of people last minute who decided to go somewhere else.
Right. Well, you know, Commissioner Pace, 4 years ago when we started the process, I told you it was going to rain. They came close, but it did.
Anyway, no, it was a great job.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you all.
I would ask though that Doug, if you can kind of coordinate with Lisa, we ought to put some of those photos, and especially aerial shots or whatever, on our website.
I'll get it
I
out
think
there.
there's some great interest to the
Yeah,
public to kind of
we just
see.
really get photos from a lot of the traffic on I-10 in particular.
Absolutely.
So
I think that'd be great interest.
we'll get those up there. Yes.
Very well. And with that, we're going to take our morning break, and when we come back, we'll handle the veterans and service. We'll come back to order. We'll move on to our 10 o'clock time items. The first one is 1.11. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to accept the quarterly report in the Veteran Services Advisory Committee. And I think we better hear the report before we accept it. So, Mr. Nolan.
Morning, I'm Gary Nolan, 140 Ray Drive, at Center Point, Precinct 3. I'd like to once again thank Commissioners Court for all the support the veterans in Kerr County have been receiving. We've got members of the advisory committee here. Jenna's going to say a few words in a moment, but each year in May, the federal government sends out what they call the geographic distribution expenses, which we call the GDX. But they basically go to every county, every congressional district, every state, and outlines some categories of where they've provided assistance to veterans and monetary benefit. The report just came out last month, a couple of weeks ago. Jenna gave us notice on that. And for Kerr County for the year, fiscal year 2023 was $121 million. And for 2022 it was $127 million. So it looks like it went down $6 million. But there's an explanation for that. That's broken down into several different categories. One of them is what we call C&P, which is compensation and pension, which is disability payments to veterans, to their dependents, to their survivors, as well as pension payments to low-income war veterans. And that's dollars in the pocket. That's tax-free money that comes in. That amount is $49 million, down, up from $47 million. So that number jumped up $2 million in 1 year. And part of that's to the credit to the Kerr County County Veteran Service Officers, as well as any other service officers. It basically is how much money comes to veterans that live in Kerr County, no matter who helps them, even if they do it themselves. So that went up $2 million, but the health care went down $8 million. The only thing I can think of as the reason why the money spent on health care in Kerr County went down $8 million was because we're coming off the peak due to COVID, which is good. And so that number typically goes up. You can go on the internet and you can find those numbers going back 25 years. So you can make year-to-year comparisons or decade-to-decade comparisons. It also stated that there were 5,040 veterans, and that's a loss of 46 over the previous year. And if you go out on the internet and try to find out how many veterans live in Kerr County, you can probably find numbers that range anywhere from 5,000 to 5,500, depending upon who you're looking at. Because nobody really counts how many veterans there are. They use algorithms. And the VA uses, I think is probably one of the best. It would probably be Census Bureau, because the VA gets DOD numbers, the Department of Defense, so they know when people get out of the military, they know how many people go in. But anyway, that's about 12%, 11 to 12% of the Kerrville population. It goes up higher if you want to look at that as far as adult population. And that's twice the number in the state of Texas and twice the number in the United States. And it's going to continue to come down. The veteran population is decreasing all the time. So that was finally came in. I didn't know if we're going to get that report in time for today or not. We had several notable things happen in the last, particularly the last 2 or 3 weeks. The Veterans Pathway got dedicated. Great job on that, I think. I'd like to give all the thanks to the commissioners that worked on that. Started with Commissioner Mosher, Commissioner Gibson, and Commissioner Paces. Also the Finance Department that helped do all of the funding work to get that money available, and to Charlie Hastings up here in the front row, because that was kind of one of his little babies. He had to grow to maturity, and he did a great job on it. And put the sign up there, and we kind of did a little dance about that. And it's a great improvement, and I know the city is behind it. And you know, I look at it as helping connect the city of Kerrville a little bit more with that side of town, because that's Legion over there, and you know, at one time it wasn't even looked at as being part of Kerrville. There's a lot of stuff over there that needs to be better connected, and so connecting particularly all the way from the front door of the VA down to the Flat Rock Park and coming across the bridge and getting back on the Kerrville City River Trail, I think there's I don't see how anybody's going to lose out of that deal. Memorial Day came and went. It was very hot, probably the hottest Memorial Day I've ever experienced down here in 22 years, but it had probably the largest crowd. Very respectful people. They didn't wander off, even though it got hot. People stuck there, for 1 whole hour in that heat, and great presentation. A lot of that credit goes to Jenna again and Jeff, because Jeff helped a lot getting the speaker, and then Shane with his crew. I know he had at least 4 or 5 people down there. And when you put out 100 chairs, you need 150. If you put out 150 chairs, you need 200. And then you put 200 chairs out, he needs to buy some more chairs. Because he's got to bring down about another 100 next year if this thing keeps going like it has. I'd also like to thank the Sheriff's Department for having security out there and having building open so people come in here and use the facilities if they need it. And the third thing really that happened, there was a training event out here hosted by Jen. I'm going to let her touch on that next. And just one little update, the Freedom's Path Phase 2 apartments, the city of Kerrville has passed the rezoning a couple of weeks ago. That needed to be rezoned from industrial something use to residential use. And the next word we're hoping to get probably within 2 weeks is whether or not Freedom's Path gets the tax credit funding through the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. And they have a meeting, I don't know, maybe the first week of July or so, and they'll say they give the results no later than July 31st. But that's probably the last useful thing that I know of that could happen if those tax credits come through. Then maybe in January they'll start digging holes out there and building phase 2. And that's my report.
Just a real quick, so every year we have to have at least 12 hours of training to continue our accreditation, and then we have to pass an annual test. This year we hosted our own. We had gotten 24 hours for our training. We had 21 counties show up. It was over 3 days, and it was very good. So just try to exceed and put Kerr County on the map. Lead by example. That's what we're doing.
Where was the training outside?
We held it at the Hill Country Youth Event Center in the large classroom. And it was for 3 days. The first day we partnered with the VA healthcare system because a lot of people get confused. They think healthcare and benefits are the same, and they're not. But we do a lot. We are very much like case managers, we're like caseworkers, kind of like lawyers as well. So we're trying to make sure we don't send veterans in a frenzy trying to figure out what all they may be entitled to. We're trying to make it better for them. And then the second day we went into more depth about what we do. And then on the third day, if a veteran ever appeals their case, it's 3 to 5 years before they get in front of a judge. And so we actually did a mock trial, because that's not something we do, but we are still dealing with our veterans until they go up to that. So this is allowing us to be able to inform our veterans, put their anxiety at ease, and help them be better prepared for it. So a lot can happen in 3 to 5 years.
Very well. Well, with that, do we have a motion to accept the quarterly report?
I'll make a motion to accept the quarterly report from the Veterans Services Advisory Committee.
Second that motion.
Got a motion and a second to approve the VSO report, or really the Veterans Services Advisory Committee report. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Item 1.12, consider discuss take appropriate action to approve an unpaid internship for the VSO. Ms. Sanchez.
So I just would like to get approval, and I do have a job description, I'll bring it up to you, but basically the gist is if we can get a student during the summer, not paid, just do an internship, and basically it's just to do paperwork. The job description basically says anything you see or hear is confidential and you are not to repeat it. And this would really help us because we're getting ready to send out about 1,500 letters. And that would be really nice if we can have someone address all those envelopes and print all those letters for us and stuff it. So just hoping we're able to get that approved.
I move for approval.
Got a motion and a second to approve the VSO having an unpaid intern this summer. Any discussion? Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank all of you. And go back to 1.9. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to address the possibility of prohibiting or restricting the sale and use of restricted fireworks, i.e. skyrockets with sticks and missiles with pins, in any portion of the unincorporated area of Kerr County pursuant to the local government code for the 4th of July fireworks season. If we're going to prohibit it, we have to take action.
Right now, it doesn't look too bad, but you know, by July 4th.
It looks real good today.
Yeah.
And there's more rain Tuesday and Wednesday in this
I don't
forecast.
see a problem.
Good one? If there's no motion, then
That's right.
no motion. Okay. With no action on that, we move on to item 1.10. Consider, discuss, take appropriate action to accept the compilation report dated September 30, 2023, for the Kerr County Emergency Services District Member Report. Report was received by the county on May 28th of 2024. Mr. Harris.
Yes, this is routine. This completes all of the ESDs in precinct 4, so I move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. Item 1.13, consider, discuss, take appropriate action regarding a request to waive plating oversight and approval to the city of Kerrville for revision to the well track in lot 35 of the homestead at Turtle Creek. Carly Hastings.
Thank you, Judge. This proposal revises the lot line between the well tract, currently 1.21 acres, for the community water system, and lot 35, 1.69 acres. The revised well tract will be reduced to 0.74 acres, while lot 35R will be increased to 2.16 acres. Frontage for both tracts remain on Saddle Club Drive. Road frontage and access to the well tract will remain at 20 feet. Since this subdivision is in Kerrville's ETJ, there is a request for the court to waive plating oversight and approval to the city of Kerrville. The city of Kerrville will not relinquish their plating authority. If plating oversight is waived, signature blocks for both the Kerr County Floodplain Administrator and OSSF designated representative would still be required and remain on the plat. County engineer requests the court consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the request to waive plating oversight and approval to the city of Kerrville for revision to the well tract in lot 35 of the homestead at Turtle Creek, volume 6, page 309, precinct 2. There is a letter in your packet attached from Vogel Surveying dated May 7th explaining the situation and that this would be beneficial to the client so that they don't have to run through both entities to get signatures on the plat.
I'll make a motion to approve the waiver of plating oversight to the city of Kerrville for a revision to the well tract in lot 35 of the homestead at Turtle Creek.
Second. Comment, question.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second now.
Question is, and I'm going down a road that I argue against all the time, but why does this require a water availability study? Which is a ludicrous question, I agree.
Yeah.
But I'm hit with that question frequently from other people, and it's the exact same situation.
Well, they're not creating a new lot.
They're revising a lot line, and we have historically said that requires water availability study. I'm just bringing that up for a point. I think it's a why I argue against that provision. But others have said that this violates our model subdivision rules, and therefore we can't do it. Bring it up. But I'm being told by other people, including other commissioners.
Well, we're not doing it, we're waiving the plating oversight.
They get everything. Right. Let's remember this when it comes, one of these comes before us again.
And they're coming.
And they're coming.
We're not creating a subdivision, and we're just modifying a line.
Same thing. I was told there's been in Westwood, the same exact situation has come up, and it was said that that person was told they had to do water availability study. Just remember it. I'm in favor of it. Be consistent, board.
I don't see it that way, but.
How do you not see it that way? It's revision of plat.
It's not really a subdivision.
Yes, it is. It's a homestead. It's a subdivision. There's no question.
No, but you're not subdividing.
It's a revision.
Yes, it is a revision.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be here to waive it. To waive our authority to plat, not to waive the requirement that I think is ridiculous. You know, that's it. My comment.
Well, there isn't a good question.
Right.
And I think, I'm just looking at it as a lawyer. I can't argue. If we exercise our jurisdiction, we have to follow our rule, right? If we do, well, I'm just saying, is this the situation where we are waiving our jurisdiction to the city? And so we don't have to apply our subdivision rule?
I think it's in the ETJ, our rules, a lot of subdivision rules, and
The model rules wouldn't apply in this situation. You have two lots, you're still going to have two lots. You're not creating a new one. And one of them is not for residential purposes also. Model rules are when you're creating two or more lots that are 5 acres or less. These two lots exist.
going forward.
I think our engineer is correct, his interpretation, I agree with that.
In this particular situation.
Yes.
Well, you know,
Change the lot line somewhere, the revision without increasing the number of lots. I want to, remember that no, water availability study is required.
we have several scenarios coming forward in the near future. And I think it would be prudent for us to visit with Chuck maybe on.
I agree completely.
I agree.
I agree. Over here it is.
You on
I'm
this
comfortable with that.
and probably the next one as well.
And not saying anything about engineers, just saying that at the end of the day, this is a legal question.
Yeah.
And if we want to be able to enforce our subdivision rules, I want to hear from the lawyer.
Yes.
So, was that a motion in the second, are we going to table it, or?
No, I'm ready, I'm in favor, my comments were just, probably I voted, I disagree with another action still taken. Pointing that out.
It's just my opinion, I don't believe this applies to our subdivision rules, but, yeah, it's all.
Then why are we waiving it?
As it stands.
If it doesn't apply, then why are we waiving it? You're waiving our planning authority, that's the motion you made.
That's right, exactly. Well, I agree that we should take this up with our attorney. I agree.
Before voting?
Well, let's see.
I don't feel strong either way if you want to table it until we take that opportunity.
I think we do. Just wait.
Well, that's not your motion.
I know.
It's his motion.
Oh, I know.
I'm ready to vote.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Well, then I'll withdraw my motion until we hear from our attorney.
Withdraw your second.
Unless somebody else wants to make a motion.
We're going to pass on this and talk to the lawyers.
We've
Wasting time.
literally done about a half a dozen a year of these for the past 10 years, waiving that authority. This one's no different.
I'll make a motion we waive the authority to the city of Kerr.
Sure, now you want.
I'll second it.
I'll add, there's distinct differences between the one in Westwood and this. Big time different.
I agree it's different.
No comparison.
Okay. Those in favor? You better raise your hand on this one. Those in favor, raise your hand.
All right, I'll go for it.
And those against? Those abstaining? I'll wait on the lawyer.
I agree. What's it gonna hurt?
Well, I still want to hear from the lawyer on it for future reference. I just don't think there's going to be
I
a
don't think
problem with
there's-
this.
No, I agree, but
If model rules would have applied in this situation, I wouldn't have brought it to you at all.
So it's a 3-0-2. Item 1.14, consider discuss and take appropriate action for the court to set a public hearing for 10 a.m. on July the 22nd of 2024 for a revision of plat for Hidden Valley Ranch, Section 2, Lot 94. Kerr.
This proposal revises Lot 94, 6.78 acres is platted into 3 lots to be known as Lot 94A, 2.01 acres, Lot 94B, 2.75 acres, and Lot 94C, 2.00 acres. Each lot will have frontage on Lillian Drive. Lot 94A will have additional frontage on Camino Real. County engineer requests the court set a public hearing for 10 a.m. on July 22nd, 2024 for a revision of plat for Hidden Valley Ranch, Section 2, Lot 94, Volume 4, page 39, Precinct 1.
Okay, is there a motion to set this public hearing as presented?
I'll make a motion that we accept 1.14.
Second.
Hearing.
We got a motion and a second for the public hearing. Hidden Valley Ranch, Section 2, Lot 94. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'll just make a few comments that in the big scheme of things, this isn't a big deal with 3 little lots. But this is another one that I believe we need our lawyers to weigh in on Kimbrough. I've got some concerns having seen the so-called Act 290 water availability study, or whatever they want to call it under this, and it's basically a regurgitation of the original study that was done, and I hesitate to call it a water availability study because I don't really believe it qualifies. It was a pump test, and the observation well is completed in a different aquifer, so kind of really tough to say that that was Act 230.8. So anyway, but I'm okay with having a public hearing. I suspect that a number of people will want to weigh in on it, and certainly we should have heard from our attorney by then. So I'm not opposed to the public hearing, but I'm concerned about whether this is an appropriate solution to the problem.
It sounds like to me it's certainly worthy of the hearing. Okay. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Everybody? Unanimous. Item 1.15, consider discussion take appropriate action regarding the request to waive planning oversight and approval to the city of Kerrville for revision of our well lot in Las Colinas.
It's all about well lots today, Judge. Never seen anything like this before, but these things happen. This one is different. This is all one well lot that will be divided. This is a division. This is not moving a lot line, making one lot bigger, one lot smaller. This is taking a well lot and turning it into both a residential lot and a well lot. This proposal revises the well lot for the community water system, which contains an existing home that predates the subdivision. The home's been there for a long time. As proposed, the community well and the existing home will be separated into 2 lots. The well lot will be reduced to 0.21 acres. The remaining 1.13 acres, including the existing home, will be revised into Lot 18A, fronting on San Juan Mission. Frontage for the well lot will be reduced to 99.28 feet. Since this subdivision is primarily in Kerrville's ETJ, there is a request of the court to waive plating oversight approval to the city of Kerrville. If plating oversight is waived, signature blocks for both the Kerr County Floodplain Administrator and OSSF designated representative would still be required. Again, model rules do not apply. It is a division of land, but one of them is being used for non-residential purposes. It's a well lot only. And model rules apply when there's 2 or more lots that are 5 acres or less that are for residential purposes. County engineer requests the court consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the request to waive plating oversight approval to the city of Kerrville for revision to a well lot in Las Colinas of Kerrville, volume 8, page 34, precinct 1. There is a letter attached from Wellborn Surveying and Engineering and Surveying discussing this issue, and I see Jared Martin is here if you have any questions for him, or if you're wondering what his client is thinking.
I'll make a motion that we consider, discuss, and take appropriate action for item 115.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve waiving plat oversight approval of the city of Kerrville on well lot in Las Colinas. Revision of well lot in Las Colinas. Any discussion?
Did my comments from before, no reason to do that.
I'm just going to reiterate that we really need to get Chuck to weigh in on this one, especially because it is subdivided a lot. I hear what Charlie says about it's not 2 residential lots.
Just a comment to that. We have certain, the court has authority to waive our plating authority whenever we want. This is not a model subdivision rule, the other one isn't. I'm talking more about consistency across the board. We certainly have authority to do this. We don't need to pass Chuck, we have authority, we have authority. Whether you do want to vote for it or not, that's up to you. But we do have authority to do this.
I agree, we have the authority, the question is whether model subdivision rules will apply.
No, they don't apply.
Oh, they don't apply.
They don't apply fairly.
I don't see that as an issue.
No, it's whether it's water availability issue, and we have the ability to waive planning authority whenever we want.
But we set precedent when
I
we
do.
don't follow our rules.
Correct.
And I'm more concerned about, are we digging a hole that we're gonna regret? Okay, we got a motion and a second? Those in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed, raise your hand. Those abstained, raise your hand.
Judge, I hate to interrupt, but what I heard the motion was to consider and discuss it. I didn't hear a motion to waive plating oversight. That's what I heard. Did anyone else hear the same thing?
Here's what it says. Consider, discuss, take appropriate action regarding a request to waive planning oversight and approval to the city of Kerr for revision to a well in Las Colinas of Kerr. So,
Wait. That was your intent, wasn't it?
It was a request to
Yeah.
waive, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. I just shortened it by saying 115 instead of reading the whole thing out.
I got you.
It was in there.
So, Judge, refresh my rules.
I'm looking at County Clerk.
The 203 passes, I believe.
I believe it does too. Let's come back to it. I need to confirm since a majority didn't vote.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. I mean, I know there's only 3 of us here,
Right.
one vote approves it.
But the abstentions don't.
They don't count.
Don't, right.
I think it passes, but I'm not sure. I would defer to you.
Yeah, I'll confirm.
So we have a 203.
Yes.
Well, we gotta fix this problem. We do. We got a hiccup here, we've got to figure out how to get past. Okay.
When we'll try to talk to him, our outside attorney, on these several weeks. Okay.
Moving on to item 1.16, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action for the Commissioners' Court approval to surplus RVU 238, a 2020 Ham H1 or H10i cab smooth drum roller. Ms. Hoffman.
We purchased this roller back in 2022. After purchasing this roller, we had put very few hours on it. We started having issues with it. And then we found out, which we were not told when we purchased it, that this Ham roller, the engine has a separate warranty from the actual unit. And so that warranty starts when that engine is completed being built. So if an engine sits for a while before it goes into the actual chassis of the piece of equipment, you may have a motor that doesn't have much of a warranty left on it, which we were not very happy about. The company that we bought it from said that they did not work on those Deutsch motors, so they had suggested a company in San Antonio, Stewart and Stevenson, for us to take that roller to. We did, got it back, still had some problems. I have the road bridge mechanic here, so if you've got some further questions, he will be able to answer those. Got it back, and Tony's suggestion was, I think, that we should, while it still is running, we haven't used it since we got it back, let's surplus this, trade it in, and let's get a different brand roller that has a Cummins motor in it, I believe. And we've had a Dynapack roller that we've had real good luck with. So that's why we're surplusing this roller. I mean, I know everybody from the court probably saw 2020 roller and went, wow, that's not that old. But I kind of agree with Tony. And if you have any questions on it, we would like to surplus this because we would like to trade it in and get a new roller, a different brand, and a different motor. So.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second to surplus the 2020 Ham H10I cab, smooth run mower. Any discussion?
It's a shame.
It's got to be done. I understand that.
Yeah.
We've all had limits at some point.
Well, we're not discouraging anybody. We're just surplusing this so we can trade it in for brand new.
What's the trade-in value on this thing?
I think they're giving us, Tony, is it 80,000?
80,000 they're going to give us on that. And why we still have it. If the motor does go south, which I'm pretty sure it will here real soon, we're looking at 27,000 for the new one.
Okay. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Quickly, let's move on to item 1.17, which is to consider discussion of appropriate action of the Commissioners Court to approve the purchase of a 2024, am I on the right one?
Yes.
9-pack CA 2500D 12-ton smooth drum roller and trade in RB 238 that we talked about just a minute ago.
Move for approval.
Got a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Got both of those done. Then we're on 1.8. I'm trying to get back to this time out. That's why I'm going so fast.
That's good.
1.18, consider discuss take appropriate action with the Commissioners Court approval to purchase a 2025 Kenworth T480 4,000-gallon water truck.
We have completed our purchases. Now, we have orders that we have not received yet, but we have that money set aside for those. But we have some money left over from what was approved last year for our capital outlay equipment purchases. And on our original list for the upcoming fiscal year, we had put in for two 2,000-gallon water trucks. But what we'd like to do is, you won't find those two trucks on the upcoming fiscal year. We took them off to get this 4,000-gallon truck. And the big reason for that is we haven't been able to draw from the river with our temporary water permit for quite a while. We have to come in town to the loop, to the wastewater treatment plant to get our water. We buy it. But if you have a 4,000-gallon truck, you're not making as many trips. To do those two 2,000-gallon water trucks, to buy two of them, the projected total for two would be $276,650. And for this Kenworth that we have found out of Houston, brand new truck, $170,591.90. And we just think that being able to take out to these locations twice the water in one trip, not only that, but it'll keep from delaying the process of that roller waiting to come on to the road once you put the water down, the blade operator, all of that. So it will keep from having downtime, because what they've done is they've taken two 2,000-gallon water trucks that we currently have. We have another 4,000-gallon, so there is never a downtime on this process. When that 4,000-gallon truck offloads and is empty, that truck starts heading back to Kerrville, and you've got this other 4,000-gallon water truck that'll offload. By the time that truck gets back, I mean, used to be when I was out in the field, the blade operator and the roller operator were waiting for you to get back with 2,000 gallons, and you go through 2,000 gallons pretty quick. So we feel this is a better purchase. It will save the county money, and we currently have three 2,000-gallon water trucks that are running fine. And so we think that the 4,000-gallon truck will serve our needs better when it comes to water.
Kelly, is this a vacuum truck so you can drive from the river?
Yes.
And I'll move for approval. So we go ahead and purchase a 2025 Kenworth T480 4,000 gallon water truck.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, quickly, item 1.19, this is consider discuss and take appropriate action to approve and authorize county judge to sign Xerox contract with the county attorney's office. This is just a routine.
Yes, we did a new printer because the one we have might need taken out back to, along with Angela's, and it's will save the county about $500 too.
Move for approval. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Unanimous. Okay, moving on to a timed item. Running a little late, I apologize to everyone, but this is item 1.20, and this is a discussion regarding the proposed budget and tax rate. Is there anyone here in the public that would like to address the court? Well, by way of explanation to the folks at home that are watching this on YouTube, I put this as a discussion item on the agenda for us to be able to talk about the budget and the tax rate. We've had 3 workshops, and we've heard from either in person or with their proposed ask back to us from all 24 elected official offices, as well as the 17 department heads, as well as some other dedicated funds that we considered. The ask is in. We've already heard it. And it's a little over $65 million. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to go to work on a proposed budget based upon what was asked. And this is the opportunity for those folks in the public that if they haven't listened to the workshops, they can go back and listen to them. They're on the website. To offer any comments to us as to whether or not, or what their opinions would be as to what's been asked for at this point. Just to give a little recap so that people will remember where we are. Last year's budget was about $52.5 million. And, excuse me, was, 52,456. And we started that year with a tax rate of 0.4051 cents per $100 valuation. And that was a reduction from the rate the year before, which was, Charles, it's the other one that has these numbers on it. Let's see what's up there. There you go. Start right there. If you look at line 1, tells you the tax rate. Back when my first budget, as you see there, is 2019-2020. The tax rate was 51.5 cents per hundred. The next year, we reduced it down to 47.5 cents per hundred. The year after that, we reduced it down to 45.4 cents per hundred. And then finally, we got it down to 40.5 cents was the tax rate. And the tax rate decreased. If you look at line 3, you can see the total revenues have increased, and that's because of the appraisals and new construction. And we have no control over what the appraisal district does. That's all out of the Secretary of State. And we have really no control over the new values that gets added when we build new properties here in town.
Comptroller, not Secretary of State.
Comptroller.
Yeah.
Stand corrected, comptroller.
Don't want to blame Secretary of State for this.
Now, when we talk about over budgeting, we talked about whether or not we really adopt a deficit budget or not. I'm talking about line 5. If you look at line 5, you can see each year those numbers are in parentheses, and any accountant will tell you that means that is a negative number. That's the accountant speak. And if you look, while we put that in the budget, we did not spend the money because at the end of the fiscal year, all the money wasn't spent. And that gets back to everybody has their own little contingency fund in their individual budgets. And then we have our countywide contingency fund. And so we allot for more contingencies occurring than actually occur, and so the money doesn't get spent. And that's why I put that last line on there, which is line 6, the reserve balance. You will see that every year that we budgeted more money than we thought the revenue was going to produce. That's why the revenues are on there, so you can see it. we had more money in the bank, in the fund balance, than we had over budgeted in our budget. And so what I'm trying to do is to start a conversation, public conversation, and take a look at this. When you look at this year's budget, which whether it's 62.5 or 63, that we're looking at, I think the total asset right at 63, is significantly more. And you'll find in it that we've got an additional $13 million from that last year, or at least what, $50 to $11 million. And that represents actually budgeting for the animal services facility because of the bond issue. We have to put it in the budget or we can't spend it, so we had to increase that, and it's what, almost it's 5.6 million. And budgeting, spending the rest of our ARPA money. And we've got all of it, but 300,000 that we believe is committed. And that includes stuff like the sheriff's communication system. But it has to be in the budget, and we haven't spent that money yet. But that accounts for why the budgets went up so high. And so as this becomes public, we'll put this all on the website. We invite the public to come talk to us. And this notebook, I'll just put it up so they can see it, is what I'm working from. And it has each one of those 41 asks in here. And some people have asked to have everybody in their department get a raise. Some people have asked for just some. Some have asked for new hires. It's all in the book. And we put that on the website so you can take a look at it. But we want the public to have the opportunity to talk to us before we enact this budget and before we set the tax rate. And that's the purpose of this agenda. So, since nobody's here, I said enough. Anything else anybody else wants to say?
Just a quick comment. Judge, I believe Mr. 1 and 2 were out of the office during the break. We briefly talked about another budget workshop, the need for one. I think that we need one. Two things. One, to go over ARPA, to go over projects, construction projects, and moving some offices around potentially. And also, we really ought to have some sort of a talk on market adjustment.
Wage adjustment?
Wage adjustment. COLA.
I
know we don't call it COLA.
We don't call it COLA, we call it wage adjustment.
And the wage adjustment, and hopefully have some numbers from the appraisers for that time. To kind of get, I know you're working on your budget, but I think all 4 of those items would be helpful to know before we go into the final round.
We hope today to hear from y'all about what you're thinking about.
So I think those 4 topics I'd like to see on the workshop and other stuff.
We try to do it on Monday, and we're kicking around July 1. Y'all weren't here when we were doing this.
3 of us were there with July 1.
So we'll schedule a special meeting on July 1, and we'll have these, after this budget item, as well as the ARPA and new plan.
If we try to do that, you think we could do it after lunch? Yeah. Can you do it before lunch? I've got an appointment out of town at 11. We have a short workshop.
The other option would be the afternoon of the 24th. Or you're not
Let's talk about the special commissioners board meeting. There would be some action probably you could take on that obligation remaining ARPA, which would be the first item on the agenda. I guess first item would be we'll go make her presentation, explain all of it, and then we make a decision on it. But I really hate to not have everybody present.
What about, we did some workshops on Thursdays. What about the 20th
Could we-
and 27th?
I can't.
On the 1st, could we start it earlier? Could we start at 8?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Start at 8.
I think that'd work for me.
I'm going to do it on Monday, July 1st, 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And no breakfast topics.
You okay with it?
I think that's the only reason I'll accommodate is if there's.
Okay. Well, it's a worthy discussion. Let's move on to item 1.21. Consider, discuss, make appropriate action to approve a resolution honoring Vince Isley. Sheriff?
Yeah, I'm just looking for y'all's approval to approve this for Vince Isley. He's retired. Y'all have a copy of it, but if y'all like to read to it, y'all can. It's in the engagement period.
Let me read the resolution, and then I need somebody to make a motion, somebody to second. Resolution of Kerr County Commissioners Court congratulating Kerr County Sheriff's Deputy Vince Isley on his retirement after 21 years and 11 months of law enforcement and community service in Kerr County, Texas. Whereas Deputy Isley has served citizens of Kerr County for 21 years and 11 months and has announced his plans to honorably retire on June 29, 2024. Whereas his career in law enforcement spans 36 years of service, including a variety of duties and promotions within the Rhinelander, Wisconsin Police Department, Cook County, Illinois Sheriff's Office, Tom Green County, Texas, and now concluding at the Kerr County Sheriff's Office as the Administrative Deputy Fleet Manager. Whereas he has earned 3,140 higher education and PECOL hours, as well as Texas Commission on Law Enforcement Master Peace Officer license. Whereas he has received numerous commendations from citizens as well as within the department throughout his career. Be it resolved that on this day, June 24, 2024, Kerr County Commissioners Court does hereby thank and congratulate Deputy Vince Isley for his service to Kerr County and wish him and his family the very best in retirement.
Move for approval.
Got a motion and a second. And I can truthfully say Deputy Isley is very worthy of this resolution. And he is an adopted son of Texas. For those of you that don't know him, he is an adopted son of Texas. So those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. We've got the resolution right here. Okay, 1.22. Consider, discuss, and make appropriate action to approve justification for sole source procurement of products and services for Trinity Innovation Solutions for the Operation Lone Star Grant in accordance with the local government code. Discretionary exemptions, subsection C, if an item exempted under subsection A7 is purchased, the Commissioners Court, after accepting a signed statement from the county official who makes purchases for the county as to the existence of only one source, must enter in its minutes a statement to that effect. Now, I know that's very technical, Scott, but we understand what we're talking about here.
Yeah, this would be, the only correction on that, this isn't funding for Operation Lone Star. This is actually from Operation Stone Garden. So
Okay.
I think Sonia sent over with the adjustment.
Can we call that a
We okay, Nick?
nut pro tunc?
Say that again?
It's Operation.
It's Operation Stone
Lone
Garden,
Star?
not Operation Lone Star.
Will,
What we're really talking about, I think, is just determining the sole source criteria to be able to apply that.
I understand that, but will that affect the grant funding if you don't have this with the correct language properly posted?
I think he's trying to comply with what the auditor's requiring.
That's what state law requires.
Scott,
I understand.
is this time sensitive?
No, sir.
Straighten it out for
we
the
can-
next
yeah, we can-
Commissioners
What,
Court?
in 2 weeks?
The Stone Garden order.
Yeah, all it's, yeah, it's just changed from the.
That's what's simple.
But I think we all understand what's going on here, right?
Yeah.
And if we could vote on it today, we would, but come back 2 weeks. and-
Just for note, this is the same vendor we've used past 2 times. Those other 2 trailers were purchased for Lone Star. This will just be out of the Stone Garden one, so. But we can bring it back.
Okay, so we'll just pass on that for today. Item 1.23, consider discussion of appropriate action to extend the number of hours for the Land Mobile Radio Project Manager, temporary position, which was approved through Court Order 39-821, to an additional 182 hours using the American Rescue Plan Act funding.
Yes, I'm looking for the Commissioners Court approval to extend the
the hours, 182 hours for our project manager, Jeff Winling. I can kind of give you an update on when we originally started the project. It was originally targeted for the spring of 2024, and I'll explain to you some of the issues we've had. It's kind of going to push into the fourth quarter of 2024. Main one is the fiber optic line. The fiber optic line is the main line that goes from Kerr County to San Antonio to connect Gators to make it work. We worked with AT&T for about 8 months now, and we thought everything was good, and we just recently, the last 2 weeks, found out they're not going to be able to provide that service, which was really a shock to us. We're now working with Hill Country Telephone. Things are looking good. I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to work that out, but that did put us back. It did not stop the project, but it's going to extend it for sure. One of the main things is we're going to have 4 consoles put into the sheriff's office, which should already be done, but because of this, we've got to continue to communicate, so we can't put them in there until we have that line. The next one was the Comfort Project, which that didn't really hold it up. I held that up for 6 weeks, as y'all remember. We didn't know if we were going to be able to stay or not. It's still looking good, but work continued to happen there. But just so you know, Jeff Winling is a project manager. He only works on this time we're actually being extended on the project. I have 3 other guys assigned to that project. One, the chief deputy who oversees the project, works Winling, checks his hours, regularly. We attend Thursday morning meetings every week to catch up. We Zoom with Motorola. Lieutenant Gage is also on that project. He does more of the, we're fixing to start installing the radios, so they're going to start, but he has to make a lot of trips to San Antonio to Bearcon to pick up stuff. And honestly, I don't know what we're going to do. He's been a tremendous part of this project. So you understand, like I said, Jeff specifically works on it at $75 an hour. We keep him busy on this project. In the Comfort side, we have to adhere to what the landowner's request is. Right now, we have several subcontractors out there, and I'll tell you, some of the landowners have gotten unhappy with us several times. They want their gate closed. Okay, there's one guy out there working, we can say, hey, can you close the gate? You got several vendors that's been left open, so I've had to assign them for an 8-hour shift, which is, it's hard to swallow. But, so just so you know, there's 3 other officers that are on this project. But basically, my request to y'all is to extend it to 182 hours, which should take us to the end of November and finish the project.
I move for approval.
I'll second. I have a motion, and a second. To approve extending the land mobile radio project manager for 182 hours. Any discussion?
Well, yeah, it's not really what's in here, but you just said something about gate issues and having to put somebody out there to.
Yeah, I mean, we're, the landowners kind of got a say on that, and, the gate has been left open, they're worried about cattle coming out, like I said, if it's one vendor, and he has to run out there and unlock it and say, hey, can you please close the gate, but after a couple of times that doesn't happen.
How often?
Oh, man, it's only when they're out there right now. It's been like, they're probably out there a couple weeks at a time, now he's not out there all that time. There's several vendors, and we asked him to close it, but kind of got to a point where they get pretty unhappy, like, hey, he's, I'd say maybe a couple of days a week when they're out there. I mean, it's, you can ask them to close it, but whether they do or not, it's a different thing. I'm not
Okay. In rural community is pretty important.
Exactly. And that's
Last thing I want to say.
No deal with people. Do you want our business or not?
True.
Get on you guys. I don't know.
I got you.
See, we have gauge, people read gauges all over Texas and stuff, and that's just one of the first things that are. And I see people haven't learned it.
Well, Sheriff wants to do this. Why don't you tell your contractors that the court is upset with that?
Okay.
And we're telling you that you need to get them to keep those gates closed.
I got you.
So blame it on us.
We'll do that Thursday.
And I can see that the individual, or another individual.
Yeah.
This property is right next to Interstate 10 and 87. It's in Missouri. I was had that unfortunate experience right across the road not too long ago. It died out when we had our fence.
Sure.
And they got on the interstate. This is not a good situation.
No, it's not.
So on the liability side, I understand on what you say, if a cow gets hit, we let it out. I mean, where we at?
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword.
I got you.
I mean, I agree with you, ethics, manners. But
But
we'll
we do
do
have
it.
governmental immunity and we are insured to attack. If the cow gets out, somebody hits it, it's probably going to be policy in its right away.
Absolutely. But I'll do that, Judge. Thank you all.
Okay, so Pedro,
Well, we vote.
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 1.24, consider discuss and take appropriate action to approve a 10-year extension to the interlocal agreement for firefighting and emergency services between the city of Kerrville and Kerr County as approved with Court Order 40634. And this is to renew our EMS contract with the city. And the good news is that we have, with the recommendation of the court, and we have the agreement from the city, is recommend that we extend the existing contract.
This is just the actual, we voted to do this is the actual contract. Move for approval.
This is the contract.
Move for approval.
I'll second. So we have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Item 1.25, consider discuss and take appropriate action on possible violations of the flood damage prevention court order at 284 Wharton. Charlie?
Judge, I'm asking that I be in executive session.
Okay, we'll do that in executive session. Let's move on to the approval agenda. 2.1, budget amendments.
Yes, you have 8 budget adjustments in front of you. The largest is for the juvenile probation adjustment. They need a vehicle. And also the housing costs for juveniles has gone sky high. The juvenile probation board did approve this at their meeting, last meeting. The second one is to increase the KCAD contract. And then the third one is insurance proceeds that we've received, and the sheriff's office is needing to get those vehicles repaired.
Move for approval.
Any motion?
Second.
In a second. By way of explanation for the juveniles. In this year's budget, this fiscal year budget, juvenile probation cut their request for housing by $100,000 because they had not spent all their budget in prior years. And I talked about this over budgeting thing that we do in our budget culture. We asked Jason about it last year, and he took it to heart, and he reduced his budget by $100,000. In the meantime, there's still an acute shortage of juvenile beds, especially female beds. And what we're doing here is asking for a budget amendment for this year because we didn't have enough money in there to pay for what we're actually spending. And on the vehicle, we kept that vehicle going for a long time. His staff will not even drive it anymore because it's not reliable enough to get him home. And we had to put a kid in it, try to transport him to the detention, and then get stranded out on the side of the road. So, I'm just telling you, we work hard trying to keep that down. It needs a vehicle and we need heavy additional. We went from at an average cost of detention being, 150 or sometimes even a little less. Being as much as 250 to 300 per day, per bed.
And I was asked by somebody the other day after the workshop about, God, that's a big increase.
Yeah.
Why don't you fix up our facility out here? Well, that's even bigger expense. Talking about millions.
And so the public understands the only viable option to use that facility that Kerr County has is from Texas Juvenile Justice Department. And what they want to do is to bring the most hardcore kids they've got and put them in our county. And we said no. The juvenile board has said no. We don't want to house those guys. We want people that are less risk than that. Now, if you change your mind, let us know.
Before coming to college, we used to operate that facility. One of those that shut it down.
2017.
The liability to the county having these kids and problems with kids on kids, it's a bad situation. I don't know. If we could contract it out to a third party, that'd be one thing, but I certainly don't recommend us ever operate it, so we can.
Well, the sheriff can confirm this. One of the big differences between adult and juvenile incarceration detention is we have to have eyes on 24/7. And eyes on a kid 24/7. And it's pretty expensive to run an operation like that. And those are federal requirements. It's non-negotiable. So that's just, this is budget amendment, but I'm just explaining to you.
Sure.
What the juvenile has gone back up to where it was, and I had talked him out of over budgeting, he did, which I appreciated. Now he's telling us it's gone back up.
And that was the reason we increased the contingency from the prior year to the current year also.
That was part of the justification we had to make a big, bigger contingency.
And this goes back to when, just for the public, when we used to operate facilities, two facilities. During that time and now, the federal laws have changed substantially and really increased the amount of the cost to the people that operate. And that's the reason it was, when we first had the facilities, it was break even or made a profit. By the time we shut it down, they were losing about $1 million a year.
It was. I remember sitting in the blue chairs, it was $1 million a year.
So, and that's largely due to law and regulation changes.
And it's even more now.
Yeah.
Probably double that.
So it'd be great to find the use for those buildings, but.
And make a good storage facility. Although we really need to get some of the stuff that we're storing in there out and just get rid of it. That's a different matter.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve the budget amendments as presented. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 2.2, pay bills.
Yes, invoices for today's consideration, $902,027.34.
Move we approve the disbursements.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve paying the bills as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Pay bills.
There are not any.
Auditor report.
There are not any.
Thank you. 2.5, monthly reports.
Yes, for February 2024 payroll approval, County Treasurer Tracy Sullivan. May 2024 Environmental Health OSSF Director Ashley Batters. Constable Tommy Rodriguez, Precinct 1. Kyle Snyder, Precinct 2. Paul Gonzalez, Precinct 3. Brad Ryder, Precinct 4. Justice of the Peace Mitzi French, Precinct 1. Judge Kathy Mitchell, Precinct 3. I move for approval.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the monthly reports as presented. Any discussion? In favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Court orders.
Yeah, our court orders from our May 20th meeting, our May 28th meeting, and our June 3rd meeting, those numbers 40644 to 40670. They'll be in order, and I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the court orders as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Information agenda. Any department heads? Nobody moved. Status report from elected officials. Councilman Gonzalez. We waited all this time for this, huh?
No, sir, no problem. Good morning, County Judge and Commissioners. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate place to say this, but it's just a status report information regarding upcoming summer kickoff, employee appreciation luncheon that's going to take place not this coming Friday, but the following on June 21st here at the courthouse. It's going to give an opportunity just to thank the employees for all their hard work, beginning at 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. with hamburgers and hot dogs and the sides. So just wanted to, we're working on that, just wanted to make the board aware and we all do appreciate all the employees, all their hard work and their dedication to this community. Thank you.
And Paul, if you would, convey my apologies because I will be out of town. I will be at the State Bar Convention receiving my 50-year certificate of practicing attorney. So,
Congratulations.
I thought we'll be with the employees.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other liaison commissioner reports? Chad?
I'll just make note that the annual board meeting for the airport is this Wednesday, June 13th at the Dietrich Center, starting at 1:30. Anybody else?
Very good. So that concludes the consideration agenda. Let's take a short break and then we'll go into executive session. 11:47, we're coming out of executive session. And we'll move on to item 5.1, which is actions may be required on matters discussed in executive session. So I'm going to recall item 115, which is to consider discussion and take appropriate action regarding the request for waive planning and oversight and approval to the city of Kerrville for a revision of well lot in Las Colinas of Kerrville. And we took a vote on that earlier, and we had 2 in favor, none abstained, and 3 against. So
No.
3 abstained. 3 abstained, correct, 3 abstained. So we went back to check Robert's rules, and we really need to have a majority of the votes of the quorum is present. So I'm going to call that again, and those in favor, say, raise your hand.
Okay.
Say 2?
Yes.
Say 2.
We're raising our hands.
Okay, and then those against, I'll raise my hands, but now we have a majority of the quorum vote, and then those who abstain. So now it becomes a 2-1-2. And I think that's all the action we have to come out of executive session. With that, we're adjourned.